There exists a silent tension, an uncanny stillness that pervades our collective consciousness. It feels as if something looms beneath the surface, just out of sight, an anxious whisper waiting to erupt into our daily lives. What if this very darkness, this unacknowledged fear, holds the key to understanding the intricate tapestry of our emotional existence? Elisabeth Kübler-Ross, a pioneering figure in the study of grief and dying, once noted that our relationship with death is deeply tied to our understanding of life. She introduced a framework that laid bare the stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Her insights challenge us to explore the depths of our psyche, revealing not only our struggles with mortality, but also the darker emotions that surface along our journey. So we must ask ourselves, what happens when these emotions are left unchecked? What latent grief might we be harboring in the corners of our souls, waiting to be acknowledged? Imagine walking through a dense forest. Each tree represents an emotion, a memory left unprocessed, a conflict unresolved. As you traverse the winding paths, occasionally shadows flit past your periphery, unnoticed, yet unsettling. They beckon for your attention. The myth of order suggests that all must be managed, categorized, and understood. We strive to maintain a pristine environment, both externally and internally. Yet, beneath this veneer of control lies the unsettling truth. Our emotions are messier than we care to admit. Have you noticed how, when we deny our feelings, they find ways to breach the surface? Consider a moment in your life when you felt overwhelmed by grief, but opted instead to push it aside. Perhaps it was the loss of a loved one or the end of a significant relationship. What came next? Did the feelings dissipate, leaving you with a sense of peace? Or did they transform into something more insidious, an undercurrent of anger or confusion that seemed to distort your reality? Kübler-Ross reminds us that it's not about adhering to a linear path. Instead, it's about facing the swirling chaos inherent in our emotional lives. The darkness lurking in each of us often goes unrecognized, misnamed as merely stress or discontent. This is where the interplay of denial and anxiety can lead to profound crises, not just within ourselves, but in our relationships and societies. When we collectively choose to ignore our emotions, we create a breeding ground for anger and frustration. Urban environments resonate with stories of people caught in cycles of denial, affecting their interactions with those around them. Have you considered that your own feelings of discontent might be connected to this larger collective struggle? Urban Kübler-Ross has offered us a framework to confront these emotions instead of hiding from them. She empowers us to embark on an introspective journey, urging us to explore our very natures. What if embracing our feelings, anger, grief, and confusion could help us connect with others more authentically? What if relinquishing the need for order and control would allow genuine healing to unfold in ourselves and in our communities? As we reflect on our emotional struggles, it becomes apparent that embracing the deeper layers of our psyche offers us liberation from the weight of denial. Building awareness of our inner turmoil can illuminate our paths, showing us how to navigate through the darkness and emerge stronger. As we step further into the exploration of our emotional landscape, we stumble upon two potent forces that often shape our responses: denial and anger. These emotions occupy a complex space in our minds, almost like uninvited guests at a party, uncomfortable yet undeniable. Denial tells us to ignore the storm brewing inside, while anger demands recognition, yet both can warp our reality and cloud our judgments. So how do we navigate the interplay between these emotions? How do we confront the shadows they cast in our lives? Denial can be the mind's way of preserving peace in turbulent times. Think about a time when you faced loss or disappointment. Was there a moment you found it easier to pretend everything was fine, to plaster a smile on your face even when your heart was grieving? This is a common reaction. In her model, Kübler-Ross emphasizes that denial can serve as an initial protective barrier against overwhelming emotions. However, it can also lead to consequences that ripple through our lives, affect our relationships, and shape our behaviors in ways we might not even recognize. Have you ever noticed how avoiding a difficult conversation can breed resentment between friends? On the flip side, anger acts like an alarm bell, the body's natural reaction to perceived threats or injustices. When we're angry, we often feel powerful, but it's also a challenging emotion to cope with. Perhaps you've observed how anger can transform a peaceful interaction into chaos, clouding the clarity of communication. It stirs within us questions that demand answers, spurring us to confront what we've avoided. But instead of addressing the source of our anger, we may often project it onto others, spiraling into conflict. Have you experienced your anger spilling over into your relationships, impacting those closest to you? Think about a scenario when someone cut you off in traffic, igniting a fire of rage inside you. In that instant, you might have felt justified in your frustration, but did you pause to consider what was really fueling that anger? Sometimes our irritations in the present are echoes of unresolved issues lurking from the past. Kübler-Ross urges us to understand that denying our anger doesn't eliminate it. It merely pushes it deeper, where it festers, ready to erupt at any moment. This cycle of denial and anger is not just personal. It ripples out to influence our societies. Consider social movements or protests sparked by collective anger over injustices. These eruptions may seem chaotic, yet they also reveal the underlying denial that has previously masked the pain of entire communities. When people come together, expressing their frustrations openly, it brings to light the unresolved grievances lying beneath the surface. What can we learn from these outcries? Might they hold the key to healing, both personally and collectively? Reflecting on our personal experiences with denial and anger encourages growth, inviting us to face our emotions instead of dodging them. Rather than viewing them as enemies, what if we began to see them as teachers? By acknowledging our denial and expressing our anger constructively, we pave the path for reconciliation, not just within ourselves, but in our relationships and communities. So let's turn the lens inward. In what ways have you denied your feelings to fit into a mold? And how has that denial morphed into anger, affecting those around you? Have you ever felt denial or anger about something in your life? Leave a comment below sharing your experience. By sharing, we can help one another navigate the tumultuous waters of our emotions and emerge on the other side more aware and connected. As we continue to delve deeper, our next topic will lead us to the complex relationship between negotiation and depression, exploring how we often bargain with our feelings instead of confronting them head-on. What might you find when you peel back those layers? Let's discover this together. As we navigate through the stormy seas of denial and anger, we inevitably arrive at a complex cycle that many find themselves trapped in, the negotiation of feelings. This often manifests as a bargaining process, a relentless attempt to rationalize our grief, anger, or confusion instead of confronting those emotions directly. We may bargain with ourselves, asking, if I just think positively about this loss, will it hurt less? Or maybe if I do enough good things, the universe will balance out my sadness. But what does this truly accomplish? Consider the familiar scenario of dealing with the loss of a job. Initially, we might engage in denial, brushing off the implications of the situation as if it were just a temporary inconvenience. However, as the weight of reality sets in, we become embroiled in negotiations. If I get another interview this week, I'll be fine. Or worse, we might rationalize the loss itself, convincing ourselves it was a blessing in disguise, hoping for it to come true rather than facing the raw pain of rejection and disappointment. How often do we engage in this mental dance, attempting to outsmart our emotions instead of feeling them? Elisabeth Kübler-Ross highlights this bargaining as one of the core stages of grief. It's a common reaction to loss, allowing us to hold on to some semblance of control amid the chaos. However, what if this impulse to negotiate keeps us from truly experiencing our emotions? Instead of allowing ourselves the fullness of grief, anger, or sadness, we skirt around these feelings, creating a tension that weighs on our spirits. In this negotiation trap, we might also find ourselves depressed. Depression often looms like an unwelcome guest, encapsulating the emotional weight we refuse to acknowledge. When we cling to our bargaining, seeking shortcuts to peace, we miss the opportunity to truly process our feelings, choosing instead the facade of happiness or neutrality. This can spiral, creating a cycle of emotional inertia that leaves us feeling drained. Think of how many times your emotional landscape has resembled the following. You feel sad or discouraged, but instead of expressing those feelings, you dive into work or latch on to distractions, binging a show, scrolling mindlessly through social media, or staying busy with chores. The sadness still lingers like a heavy cloud overhead. Have you ever found yourself saying, "I'll deal with this later," only to realize that later never arrives? Moreover, societal expectations often fuel this cycle. We are conditioned to maintain a brave face, leading us to ignore signs of distress. This can foster a collective depression masked by busyness and distractions. Social media, while a powerful connector, often amplifies this phenomenon. Seeing others proclaiming happiness can cast a shadow over our struggles, prompting us to negotiate our worth or sadness against their curated joy. In such an environment, how can we learn to confront what we feel? By observing how we negotiate with our feelings, we can learn to dismantle these patterns. Instead of bargaining, what if we embraced our emotions in their entirety, allowing ourselves to feel the pain, loss, and anger without attempting to sugarcoat them? This could mean confronting uncomfortable conversations or integrating moments of stillness into our lives, permitting ourselves to sit with our emotions rather than evade them. Next time you notice that impulse to negotiate your emotions, ask yourself, what am I truly feeling? How can I give space to these feelings without trying to bargain them away? What's your go-to strategy for negotiating your feelings when confronting loss or anger? Share your insights in the comments. By embracing our struggles and sharing our experiences, we can foster a deeper understanding of ourselves and others, creating a community of empathy and connection. As we look forward to our next discussion, we'll explore the complex nature of emotional chaos and criticism. How often do we expect healing to be a linear journey? It's time to challenge that notion and discover the rich depths that lie within our emotional experiences. Let's explore this together. As we journey further into our emotional landscape, we confront the swirling chaos that so often accompanies our experiences of loss, grief, and change. Emotional chaos can feel like a raging storm, unpredictable and overwhelming, leaving us questioning our very sense of self. How many times have you found yourself engulfed in confusion during moments of upheaval, as though the ground beneath you has shifted without warning? In her work, Elisabeth Kübler-Ross emphasizes that experiencing a chaotic emotional state is not only normal but fundamentally human. It's a response to loss, uncertainty, or profound change, and the essence of chaos is paradoxical. It can be both destructive and transformative. But here lies a critical question. What if we could embrace this chaos, transform it into a source of growth instead of letting it consume us? Think for a moment about a situation where you felt completely out of control. Imagine a personal crisis. Perhaps a relationship ended unexpectedly, or you faced a job loss. In that moment, emotions likely surged like waves crashing against a rocky shore, making it difficult to find solid ground. Have you experienced that whirlwind of emotions when everything feels disjointed? Instead of succumbing to despair, what if we considered chaos an opportunity for reflection and growth? Just as a storm can nourish the earth after it passes, our tumultuous emotional experiences can ultimately lead us toward healing if we allow ourselves to navigate through them. When we lean into the chaos, we can begin to process the feelings that accompany it: anger, sadness, fear, and confusion. Consider how nature handles chaos. After a forest fire, for instance, the landscape appears devastated, but it paves the way for new growth. Trees adapt and evolve. Seeds that were buried for years suddenly find their opportunity to sprout. How might we mimic nature's resilience in our own lives? What if we viewed our emotional chaos as the fertile ground for personal transformation? To do this, we need to challenge the belief that healing must follow a linear path. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we should simply get over our pain or move on after a setback. Societal norms often emphasize quick fixes and speedy recoveries, leaving little room for the messy, uncharted territory of our emotions. But is this realistic? What if the winding journey through chaos is where the real insights lie? Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt pressure to hurry your healing process because you believe others might judge your grief or struggle? This expectation can compound feelings of isolation and despair, compounding the emotional chaos that so many experience. When we focus on moving past our pain, we may overlook the lessons it offers. Navigating through emotional chaos requires compassion for ourselves and our experiences. When emotions swell like a storm, instead of fighting against them, we can instead ask ourselves, what is this moment trying to teach me? Or perhaps, how can I sit with this experience and allow it to unfold? By remaining present amidst the chaos, we can witness our resilience and capacity for growth. As we work to tame the chaos, remember that it is okay to feel lost and uncertain. Acknowledge these feelings without judgment. They are part of the human experience. We're all navigating our storms, and sharing our own journeys can help create a sense of community in this often isolating process. So let's take a moment. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Consider the chaos surrounding a challenge in your life. What does it look like? What emotions rise within you? What lessons might reside within that chaos, waiting for acknowledgement? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story may resonate with someone else who's seeking understanding in their emotional storm. As we continue exploring, our next topic will delve into the transition from chaos toward acceptance. How can we begin to find peace and resolution amid the tumult? Join us as we unravel this journey and discover the inspiring potential within our emotional experiences. Together, we can navigate our paths toward acceptance and renewal, one step at a time. As we move from the tempest of emotional chaos towards a more serene state of acceptance, it's crucial to recognize that acceptance is not a destination. It's a journey, a gradual unfolding rather than a sudden revelation. It can feel challenging to embrace this notion, especially after experiencing profound loss or upheaval. We often equate acceptance with forgetting, but in truth, acceptance is about learning to coexist with our feelings, making space for sorrow alongside joy. What does this coexistence look like in your life? Elisabeth Kübler-Ross emphasizes that acceptance comes after navigating through the various stages of grief, including denial, anger, and bargaining. Yet, acceptance is not about closing the door on our painful experiences. It's about acknowledging their presence and allowing them to shape who we are without defining us. Many painful moments is like a piece of art. While it may seem jarring or chaotic at first, Each brushstroke contributes to the overall masterpiece of your life. Have you considered how your challenges may add depth to your own narrative? Many people fear acceptance because it seems to imply an end, a relinquishing of hope or dreams that were tied to what was lost. However, true acceptance offers a different perspective, one that allows for growth and transformation. Think of acceptance as a garden. It requires nurturing and time to bloom. You may find that in accepting your grief, you ultimately discover new passions, connections, or paths that were previously hidden by the weight of sorrow. Have you experienced this phenomenon in your life? Acceptance can also be a subtle process. Sometimes it creeps in unexpectedly, like the soft light of dawn after a long night. You might wake up one day and realize that you don't feel the same crushing weight of despair that you once did. This doesn't mean you have forgotten. Instead, it signals a shift in perspective. What if you allowed yourself to celebrate these small shifts in your emotional landscape? Can you recall moments where acceptance quietly replaced resistance, bringing a sense of peace? Another element to consider is the role of forgiveness, both for ourselves and others. In the process of acceptance, we often find ourselves revisiting themes of forgiveness, whether it's forgiving ourselves for perceived failures, forgiving others for their actions, or even forgiving life itself for its unpredictability. Holding on to resentment or self-blame can hinder our ability to fully embrace acceptance. Cultivating a practice of self-compassion can create fertile ground for acceptance to blossom. This involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would extend to a dear friend facing hardship. What if you became your own biggest supporter during difficult times? Imagine the impact this could have on your journey. Rather than chastising yourself for a lack of progress, what if you became curious about your journey, asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" Engaging in mindfulness practices can also facilitate acceptance, helping you to remain present with your thoughts and feelings. When you find yourself overwhelmed, consider breathing deeply and focusing on the sensations in your body. This act of grounding can foster a profound awareness of your emotional state, allowing you to acknowledge and accept whatever arises. How often do you take the time to check in with yourself? As we reflect on the pathway to acceptance, it's essential to remember that this journey is unique for each individual. Your process may be gradual, while someone else's may feel swift. There's no timeline for acceptance, and that's perfectly all right. Think about the last challenge you faced. What did that experience teach you? What resources did you draw upon to help you begin accepting your new reality? Feel free to share your experiences with us below. Your insights may inspire and comfort someone else who is navigating their own journey of acceptance. As we wrap up our exploration today, we invite you to embrace the power of acceptance. It holds the key to transforming your relationship with yourself, your emotions, and your experiences. In our next discussion, we'll dive deeper into how acceptance can pave the way for renewal, examining the beautiful potential that comes after embracing our full emotional spectrum. Together, let's discover how acceptance can open doors to new beginnings and infinite possibilities. As we transition from acceptance into the concept of renewal, it's important to recognize that this journey is not merely a healing of wounds, but rather an awakening of our potential, a profound transformation that can emerge from even our darkest times. Renewal is about embracing new beginnings, finding strength in vulnerability, and harnessing the lessons learned during the tumultuous phases of our emotional landscape. How often do you think about the possibilities that lie ahead after embracing acceptance? Imagine standing at the edge of a forest after a fire. The trees may appear charred and lifeless, but just underneath the surface, life begins to stir. This cycle of destruction and rebirth mirrors our emotional experiences. Within our own lives, resilience often follows hardship, illuminating paths we never even knew existed. When was the last time you felt that spark of renewal rise after overcoming a challenge? Elisabeth Kübler-Ross illustrates that through acceptance, we can unlock the door to renewal. It is not about forgetting our past or minimizing our pain. Rather, it is about incorporating these experiences into the fabric of who we are. Think of a tapestry. Every thread represents a memory, a feeling, a learning experience. The darker threads may weave in hardship and grief, yet they coexist with lighter threads of joy, growth, and love. What colors do you notice in your own tapestry? Renewal often calls for a shift in perspective. We can choose to see our challenges as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. It's an invitation to cultivate gratitude for the lessons learned along the way. Have you ever paused to reflect on how adversity has shaped your character or allowed you to emerge stronger? By acknowledging the strengths forged through hardship, we not only honor our journeys, but empower ourselves for future endeavors. Another crucial aspect of this renewal process is reinvention. As we emerge from the cocoon of grieving and accepting, we might discover an urge to redefine ourselves. This can manifest in many forms: a new hobby, a career change, or even a shift in personal beliefs. What opportunities have you embraced that stemmed from your moments of vulnerability? Embracing these transitions and new identities can be incredibly liberating. Think about the stories of people who have faced incredible loss yet have risen to create something impactful. Whether it's an artist who channels their grief into their work, a community leader emerging from their struggles to uplift others, or a person who discovers a new passion for volunteering and giving back, these transformations remind us that renewal is possible. What legacy do you wish to create from your experiences? Beyond the personal, renewal also invites us to be part of something greater, often leading us to connect with others who have traveled similar paths. Empathy and shared experiences create community. When you share your narrative of loss and acceptance, you create a space for others to feel welcome and less alone in their journeys. How might your story inspire renewal in someone else? As we contemplate these ideas, consider what actions resonate with you in your pursuit of renewal. Perhaps it's as simple as starting a gratitude journal, dedicating time to a passion, or reaching out to someone who's been a source of support. What small steps can you take today that could lead you toward your next chapter? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, reflecting on what renewal means to you after your journey through acceptance. Your voice is invaluable, and it may inspire others looking for their own path toward transformation. As we wrap up this exploration of renewal, let's remind ourselves that while the past is a part of who we are, it does not define us. We hold the power to create fresh narratives that emerge from the ashes of our challenges. In our final segment, we'll delve into how we can maintain motivation and resilience as we navigate the future. Together, we'll explore strategies for sustaining empowerment and embracing the journey that lies ahead, filled with promise and possibility. As we conclude this journey of exploring acceptance, renewal, and emotional growth, we arrive at a pivotal point: maintaining motivation and resilience. Life's challenges are inevitable, and while we've learned to embrace and transcend our experiences, the real test lies in how we can continue to nurture our emotional well-being as we move forward. How do you keep the flame of motivation alive when faced with the inevitable setbacks and obstacles? The first step in sustaining motivation amid life's unpredictability is establishing a solid foundation of self-awareness. When we understand our emotional triggers and patterns, we can cultivate healthier responses during challenging times. This process starts with mindful reflection, taking moments in your day to check in with yourself. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are the shadows of old wounds creeping back in? By recognizing these feelings early on, we can address them with compassion and intentionality. How often do you dedicate time to pause and assess your emotional landscape? In her teachings, Elisabeth Kübler-Ross emphasizes the importance of recognition in the healing process. When we acknowledge our feelings, whether they are positive or challenging, we empower ourselves to take proactive steps towards growth. It's akin to tending to a garden. If we don't regularly check on our plants, weeds can take root and choke the life out of our blooms. Therefore, carve out moments to assess your emotional garden. What needs nurturing? What weeds need pulling? Another crucial aspect of maintaining motivation is setting realistic, compassionate goals. When we emerge from a phase of acceptance and renewal, we may feel inspired to make sweeping changes in our lives. But it is essential to recognize that sustainable change often comes from small, consistent actions rather than grand gestures. Consider this. Instead of setting a goal to overhaul your entire lifestyle, how about starting with one small act each day, such as drinking more water, taking a short walk, or dedicating 10 minutes to a hobby you enjoy? What one small step can you take today to reinforce your commitment to yourself? Additionally, connecting with a supportive community can play a critical role in sustaining motivation. Whether it's friends, family, or support groups, surrounding ourselves with people who understand our journey can provide encouragement and perspective. Sharing your aspirations and struggles can foster a sense of belonging, reminding you that you're not alone. What networks or communities could you turn to for support on this journey? Resilience also flourishes in times of adversity when we practice a mindset of gratitude. Reflecting on the positives in our lives, even in challenging circumstances, can act as a powerful antidote to despair. Have you ever taken a moment to jot down 3 things you are grateful for, even amidst struggle? This simple act can shift your perception and inspire a sense of hope. How could incorporating gratitude into your daily routine strengthen your resilience? Let's not forget the importance of self-compassion as well. Perfectionism can lead to discouragement, especially when we stumble or when things don't go as planned. Be gentle with yourself. Remember that setbacks are a natural part of growth. Rather than being critical, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Or, how can I treat myself with kindness right now? These reflective questions can empower you to respond with love instead of judgment. As we wind down our exploration, consider how your journey towards acceptance and renewal has equipped you with newfound strengths. What tools have you discovered that can help you navigate future challenges with greater ease? Embrace those discoveries and let them guide you as you forge your path forward. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your reflections may hold keys to motivation and resilience for others in our community. Your story matters and can spark inspiration for someone facing their own difficulties. In the spirit of connection and continuous growth, as we wrap up today's discussion, let's cultivate the awareness that our journey doesn't end here. The road ahead may be filled with uncertainties, but with the tools of acceptance, renewal, and resilience, we possess the strength to navigate through them. Together, let's commit to showing up for ourselves and each other, embracing every step of our evolution as a tribute to the strength of the human spirit. Remember, each moment is a new opportunity to begin again, and there is immense power within that renewal. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Here's to continued exploration, growth, and the promise of tomorrow.